Hi everybody, welcome back to Sharon from Vivid Days. Today's video is all about imagination and how to turn coasters into some pretty striking wall art. Simple process, it's all about layering. I put my leftovers from a previous project in there and that just ignited a little bit of an adventure I wanted to go on with different colours and layering. The key to this is little, but try and get 4 layers in there if possible. Every step I take is a personal choice. You don't have to do it. Subscribe, share, comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think to this video. If you are inspired, hashtag Sharon Lindley inspired me. That helps me locate the work that you've done and I love to see what you've done. And other than that, at the end of this video, there will be a little bit of vlog. Me and Neil went out on a little adventure exploring our local area and I've took some footage for you. So stay on at the end if you want to have a little look of Australia and the part of the world that we live in. So I'll see you on the next video. Much love. Bye bye. As I mentioned, I am using my leftover resin from my medallia. The colours will feature on the next layer. It's a gold, a blue and a really nice brown. The beauty of working with leftover resin for moulds or other little projects is it's been waiting there a while. So you're going to have much more control when it comes to blending of colours, but also a lot of the air bubbles will have dissipated. The bottom layer isn't critical, but for me, when I put the leftovers in, it helps me when I walk past it the next day, think about where do I want to take this project? Now these 3 colours together are yummy. They always remind me of chocolate and Easter and yummy goodness. I should explore working with these colours more often. Okay, it's time to stop the project and talk about safety. Something that I'm super passionate about, which is sharing the knowledge of safety with resin. Please remember all chemicals are harmful, especially when applying heat, regardless of what the manufacturer said. Please make sure you're in a well ventilated area, doors are open, windows are open, where possible a fan. Remember to glove up, mask up, and then you can have some fun slapping that resin on. The crushed crystal wasn't really needed when working with mica because it has a beautiful little shimmer to it anyway. You're going to see me apply some clear resin. The reason I applied the clear resin is to try and protect some of those lovely effects on the bottom layer. Now do make sure that your area that you're working on with resin is level, because that will help you have a little bit more control to the bleeding and the mixing of the micas. Now I'm using this resin after it had been first mixed, so it's pretty runny. If you do it that way, you're going to have less control, but you are going to have more bleeding of colours. So if you want to have a little bit more control, which is probably what I should have done, I should have waited a little bit longer. Now the clear, if you have, because resin is self-leveling, what I'm trying to say is if you put clear on, but then you over-index with your colour is going to spread into your clear and it's going to eat away at that protected area. I do try and push it back towards the end because I'd overcommitted with the colours and it pushes the colour black beautifully. And you get to see some beautiful effects. And if I had a moment in time or a pause button, I would have hit pause right there. But unfortunately, because it spread it out, once it starts to come back and self-level, it draws the pigments into the middle. I created some beautiful effects still. I still had some of the transparency to the colours below. But I wished I would have had more clear in the bottom. But this is the dance you do with resin. You've got to be willing to go in there, learn from it, and see what the resin gods want this piece to be. So less is more. Think about the time that you start pouring your resin and be willing to try with bold colours. how wonderful did those effects look. Now I am making sure that my mold was level, because as we get into the third layer there's little space left now, and I wanted to prevent it running off the edge. Again, it's a fairly thin coat. I'm wanting to protect that top half, and I am just going to come in with some of my pigments at the bottom. Now again, this pigments, as I start to go up the side and I get a little bit more adventurous, the least you put on, the more controls you're going to have. And it's just like I mentioned before, a little dance I do, and I'm trying to balance the depth, bringing eye to the center with some of the dark colors, but also making sure I've got a balance and a spread of colors, so you can work in thirds. It's not necessarily that what I'm trying to do, but what I am trying to do is complement the colors, add balance to the piece, and create depth. That's the whole goal of this one. So again, less is more. Work in small layers and control, and think about the colours or the effect or the feel that you want. I'm always adding on my clear, the crushed crystal in there, to add to a little bit of sparkle. And I am getting I can't put my teeth in, Sharon. Towards the top there's least pigment in there. And again, when I look at it I think, oh, less is more, but then I keep going on and adding 1 or 2 little bits more. And you've just got to remember how much mica will move within your clear resin. So you'll see what it looks like at the end, and then you'll see how much it has gone towards the center. But I really am loving it. It's got like a space stroke angelic stroke, I don't know, magical sky. Let me know what it is that you're seeing in this piece. My little skewers that I come in with is just to try and remove the bubbles from around the edge. I come in with a little bit of torch, making sure it isn't touching the side of the silicone so it doesn't stick or adhere to the resin, and pushing back my pigments to try and keep that sky clear. But as mentioned, it'll push it back, but then it'll draw it back into the middle. You'll be able to see the movement very soon. You can see the movement that occurred in there, and it's quite nice in a way because it's quite wispy and it's not a solid colour where the resin's been in there clear and mixing with it, so it's added like a cloudy movement effect. Now I'm going to be working on my photo frame and last coat of resin going on while it's in the mould. Mainly clear, but a little bit of colour added, the same colours we've been working with but for balance. You can see how thin that layer is, so a lot of control. I apply it to this mould, let it settle, even out, and then I come to my glass. Now with the glass, it's there's a little bit of a I've got lids underneath it, so it's raised slightly. I've masking taped behind it to try and remove any resin nipples so it will fit back in the frame. And I'm just having a go and I'm exploring. I've left it all in, but I've speeded it up so you can see my full process. And maybe you're inspired for different effects, different color schemes, or just seeing sometimes how I don't have a preset idea sometimes. And if I don't, sometimes it's either a royal mess or a great success. Now, I actually fell in love with this back piece, and I really loved when using the gold and the brown, that sort of effects that you get in there. And I started just playing here, and I just lost myself in this process, just looking at potential projects, potential effects for future art that I could create. Now, when I've done this kind of project before, I found that one solid colour background normally works best, or it blends into the heart, so it's like an extenuation of the heart. So when I was doing this, I was wanting the resin to tell me what it wanted to be. So I came in with the straight lines, but I know it was going to move, so I came in with a blowtorch just to try and blend. So it's getting a gradient of colour, very subtle, but maybe it'll add interest. Then I didn't like it, so I came back in and tried to do a few more swipes, which I enjoyed. Added a little bit brown to the base and dragging that through. Now the thing I love about mica is when you're pulling your stick through, it leaves where it was, so you almost get like a 3D effect. It felt like it was a branch to me, or a tree, whether it was a tree of life, and this looked like it was going to be a leaf coming off it. But there's a little twist coming soon. I'll leave it with you to see. Again, minuscule bits of pigment at for the mica just towards the end. I'm just trying to frame it. Although I like those wispy effects, it didn't quite feel finished for me. But this is where sometimes you can overcommit, you can ruin a piece, you can take it too far. But when it's such a small mold you're working on, and this is going to be for me, it's okay to experiment and think, you know what, I don't like that, I'll start again. Nobody wants to waste resin, it's expensive, but think of the learns that you can gain. Now I'm going to leave you to a little bit of music. Sharon's Dodgy FM going to be playing, and I will let you watch me create. I've left all the processes in here, even though there's going to be a twist soon, just so you can understand that sometimes we have to work through problems, we have to troubleshoot, and that's the reality. Anyway, I encourage you to leave your art around. So if you have created something and it doesn't feel quite right, put it on a wall, put it somewhere where you keep walking past it so it catches your eye. Work out what it is that you don't like, and then maybe you can come up with a solution, or maybe it's just worth leaving it. But I will speak to you soon, and I hope you're enjoying this video. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and possibly giving me a thumbs up. All right, I'll let you relax. Bye bye. I am currently working on another mould with all my leftover resin from this piece. Let me know what you think to those effects that's created there, and how that blue and that brown stroke gold look together. You can almost see an aerial view and a river flowing through it. With my frame, I'm quite into distressing my frames at the minute, and I just use a little bit of my gold pen, pop it on this tablecloth and just rub it, and it's given me this nice rustic vintage look, which I'm really enjoying. And this is going to be a piece that's going to be on my wall. We've got a theme of a country cottage with a modern twist is what I'm trying to say, but I'm quite enjoying this look. I've got my glass, it definitely fits in there, that's just me testing it. I've put parcel tape at the back and I'm pressing it into the grooves there because the resin will still slip through there. Demolding my resin, and I love the front part, and look at the edges, stunning colours coming through. And it doesn't really matter if you've got air bubbles or bubbles in that, because we're going to add a thin layer of clear. Now this is me just showing you that I put my piece in multiple different positions until it speaks to me. It doesn't have to be in the center. This is your art, so you do what makes you happy. So I kept moving it around until it just felt right. It's almost in the right position there. I felt when I was applying it here that it was a leaf coming off a branch, and it was like a tree of life, and this was the little bit of universe popping out of it, or solar system, or magic, whichever thing that comes to your mind. But I encourage you to try your art in multiple different places until you find an area that bonds well with you. I will stick it down with a little bit of double-sided tape just to help me when I place it on there. It's not going to move around when I apply my clear resin. The clear resin, I'm only using 80ml. I've got some of the crushed crystal in there just to add a little bit of sparkle. I do come in with some positive affirmation words. I'm trying it in multiple different positions. I felt that it went really well to the top left corner, and I quite liked it. It spoke to me, and just adding a little bit of dark underneath it and a little bit of gold on it helped make it look a little bit more vintage and bring together with this. And again, it's an optional step. You don't have to do anything. This is your art. Be true to yourself and create stuff that makes you really happy. Now there is a twist coming, but as I said, I wanted you to see my full process so that you get to see the real Sharon in her studio and the process that I go through. And the aim of this is to either encourage you, share with you what I do, and also don't give up. Make sure you're happy. Be true to yourself. The project has now finished. Thank you for staying with me. Let's go in closer and have a look at the detail. There is so much sparkle on this piece, and I love the positive affirmations. If you think this video has added value, remember, thumbs up, subscribe, share, comments are always welcome. Thank you for hanging out with me. Bye bye. Okay, I couldn't stop playing. I put that picture on the wall, and although I absolutely love the colours and the effects, it was fun creating it, it just looks so dull on my wall, and I like bright, happy colours. So I was going to come down and maybe just put one colour on, and then I went rogue with my choices. And so I did half and half, just around the edge, until I worked out what I wanted to do. And then I ended up mixing my own colours by ombreing it to give it sort of a magical, spacey feel, or heavenly. I'm probably going to put some words across it, but I've got to let it dry, but I just couldn't resist. And it only took a little bit of resin as well, so none wasted. But I've either nailed it, improved it slightly, or failed it. I think I love this colour more because I'm bright, vivid days, vivid colours. Anyway, fingers crossed, because I can't add any more, otherwise my coaster will just be merged into the piece. Anyway, I couldn't resist, and I'm so hot, it's so warm here today. Yeah, all right, let's have a look what this looks like. If you have stayed on till the end of this video, thank you so much. It really means the world to me, and I'm going to try every so often incorporate a little bit of my adventures in the place that we live in. And we went exploring, we wanted to do some footage, and we found some beautiful spots for us to go back and visit. You can't take dogs in this area, but we have found a local dog park. It's got its own little lake and that, so they are going to absolutely love that. So yeah, enjoy, and let me know if you want to continue to see some of the area that we live in.